I will explain about climbing Mount Fuji during the off-season. In the off-season, theoretically, walking on the hiking trails is prohibited, but in reality, many hikers and skiers are walking on the hiking trails. The mountain hut you see ahead is the 9.5 mountain hut, so this location is almost close to the summit. There are many backcountry ski routes on Mount Fuji. As you may know, it is extremely difficult to climb to the summit of Mount Fuji during midwinter, so the summit snow gullies indicated by green lines are skiable only in spring, not in midwinter. In midwinter, roads to the 5th station are all closed, so most backcountry skiers ski at the foot of Mount Fuji. Most popular backcountry area in February and March is Mount Hoei. Mount Hoei is parasitic cone on the southeastern slope of Mount Fuji. In April, Shirokusa-nagashi snow gully on the north side of Mount Fuji becomes skiable, as long as Fuji Subaru Line toll road is passable. Usually, Fuji Subaru Line becomes passable to the 5th station from mid-April. Snow gullies close to the summit are skiable from late May to mid-June. As you may know, the climate of Mount Fuji is very severe in winter, and blizzards and strong winds may occur even in April. As compared to April, the weather is milder in May and June. First, I will explain Mount Hoei backcountry skiing for February and March. The entry point to Mount Hoei backcountry is close to the trailhead of Gotemba Route. However, during winter, Gotemba Route trail is closed, so you have to park your car on the shoulder of the road close to Tarobo Tunnel. It appears this parking space had been available in the past. This is close to the Tarobo Tunnel, but now this space is closed by the fence. But I found another space for parking on the southwest side of the Tarobo Tunnel. Besides this area, there are other emergency parking pullouts available along this road. You will have to walk a few hundred meters, but parking spaces are available, so it should be possible to park your car. If you cannot park your car on the shoulder of the road near Gotemba trailhead, you can park your car at Mizugatsuka Koen, which is open even in midwinter. Mizugatsuka Koen parking space is very large. Probably it takes about two hours or more to walk from Mizugatsuka Koen parking space to the backcountry area of Mount Hoei. So if you can walk, then you can park your car at Mizugatsuka Koen parking space. Next, I will explain Shirokusa-nagashi snow gully on the north side of Mount Fuji. To access this snow gully, you have to use Fuji Subaru Line toll road. In reality, this toll road on the north side is often closed in midwinter. Sometimes it is passable, but often the road is open only up to the 2nd station or 3rd station. To ski Shirokusa-nagashi snow gully, the road has to be open up to the 5th station. To check the current road conditions of Fuji Subaru Line toll road, please visit the official website. The official website shows today's road condition and also the road conditions in the past. So if you want to ski Shirokusa-nagashi snow gully in April, you have to predict whether the road will open on your intended day by analyzing the current and the past road conditions on the web page. There is no English web page, so please use machine translation. Yoshida-Osawa, Subashiri, and Fujinomiya snow gullies indicated by stars on this page are snow gullies that exist along the famous hiking trails. So you can see the snow gullies while you are hiking up the trails, which means it is easy to check the snow condition and you are less likely to get lost while skiing down because you are skiing along the hiking trails. In that sense, those 3 snow gullies can be regarded as safe routes. On the other hand, Fujo-nagashi is not along the hiking trail. After skiing Fujo-nagashi snow gully, you descend along the so-called Prince Route hiking trail, back to Fujinomiya trailhead. Prince Route hiking trail was used by the current Japanese emperor while he was a prince. I will explain how to climb Mount Fuji from Fujinomiya trailhead, which is often used during winter. As you can see, the entrance is closed by the fence. because legally the trails are all closed during winter. However, in reality, many hikers enter the hiking trails through the bulldozer trail. The entrance to the bulldozer trail is located at the eastern end of the parking. Also, at this point, there is a trail to Mount Hoei-zan. The narrow path on the right leads to Mount Hoei-zan. The wide ascending slope on the left is the bulldozer trail. The sign says pedestrians are prohibited from walking on the bulldozer trail, but during winter, the bulldozers are not operating, so many hikers are walking on the bulldozer trail. When climbing Mount Fuji during the off-season, it is recommended to refer to the guidelines that can be obtained from the official website of Mount Fuji. There is no official English version available. The existence of such guidelines is the very proof that climbing Mount Fuji in the off-season is not totally prohibited. In summary, the guidelines say that winter conditions are extremely harsh in the off-season, so climbers are strongly advised to have sufficient equipment and climb at their own risk with full attention to safety. In conclusion, it is okay to climb Mount Fuji in the off-season. However, there remains an issue that the hiking trails are officially closed during the off-season. Climbing Mount Fuji in winter without using the hiking trails is very difficult because other routes outside the hiking trails involve steep rocky terrain that require rock climbing skills and carries even higher risks. As a result, it has become common practice for hikers to use the hiking trails even in winter, even in the off-season. Strictly speaking, this is not legally permitted. This area remains a gray zone. Please make your own informed decision and climb responsibly. As you can see, you sometimes encounter this kind of branching point of bulldozer trail and hiking trail. Usually, the hiking trails are narrower, so please go into the narrower trail. By the way, on this day, I did not ski. In most years, the snow gullies at the summit are usually skiable even in June, but as far as I checked social media, there is not sufficient snow this year. It appears that May was the best season for skiing the snow gullies at the summit in this year. Also, this was the first time for me to climb Mount Fuji. I think most of the Japanese people climb Mount Fuji at least once in our life, just like Muslims go to Mecca at least once. Probably climbing Mount Fuji had some meaning in terms of our religion, even though recently most of us Japanese are not so religious anymore. I am not an athletic person. I started climbing mountains after I started backcountry skiing several years ago, so I do not have much experience in climbing mountains. So this point is between 8th station and 9th station, but there is not sufficient snow for backcountry skiing. It's impossible to ski on this very thin snow. Around this point, I started to experience symptoms of altitude sickness. I didn't have a headache, but I suddenly became short of breath. It felt like I was breathing with a plastic bag over my head. It was extremely difficult to breathe. I have climbed mountains with an elevation gain of around 1,000 meters many times before. Since the elevation difference from Fujinomiya trailhead to the summit of Mount Fuji is about 1,300 meters, I thought I would be fine. However, on this Japan's highest mountain, I still developed altitude sickness. I believe the main cause was the rapid gain in altitude. I left Tokyo at 3 a.m., drove my car through Tomei Expressway, arrived at the Fujinomiya trailhead and started climbing immediately. Since Tokyo is almost at the sea level, 0 meters high, I ascended to approximately 3,500 meters very quickly, which likely triggered the altitude sickness. At around 3,500 meters high, As you can see, there was snow on the trails. It was not icy, so I walked without attaching crampons. By the way, if you are not good at high altitude, I recommend obtaining Diamox, which is a medicine for treating high altitude sickness. You can also take Diamox for prevention of high altitude sickness. From the 9.5 station, you need crampons to walk on the hiking trails, but there is another route that is bulldozer trail. There was no snow on the bulldozer trail to the summit. So in conclusion, under the current situation, you do not need crampons to reach the summit if you walk on the bulldozer trail from the 9.5 station to the summit. Because the high altitude sickness is severe, I started descending from the 9.5 station. As for my altitude sickness symptoms, climbing up was tough, but descending was no problem at all. I felt completely fine as long as I was sitting and resting. That's why I stayed at the 9.5 station for about an hour, just playing with my walkie-talkies. Altitude sickness symptoms vary greatly from person to person. Some people don't experience any symptoms at all. As you may know, during the official open season of Mount Fuji, you have to pay 4,000 Japanese yen as an entrance fee. To be honest, climbing in June or September is a very good deal. The weather during these months is relatively close to the summer conditions, so the risks are lower. The only real downsides are that all the mountain huts are closed, so you cannot buy meals or drinks, and all the toilets are also closed. So you'll need to bring your own WAG bag, waste alleviation gel with plastic bag, or portable toilet. As you know, mountain rescues during the off-season have become a social issue in Japan. Therefore, I think people who are not experienced with climbing mountains should avoid climbing Mount Fuji during the off-season. There is a risk of receiving social criticism. At this point, please go to the right-hand side. The sign says descending is on the right-hand side. So the descending route and the climbing route are separate at this point. So scenes after this point are omitted. I have now successfully returned back to the trailhead. Thank you for watching. I'm introducing mountains and ski resorts in Japan for backcountry skiing. On my YouTube channel, I don't just present the official information. I share the real truth. I explain not only the official rules, but also I openly provide honest practical information, such as where hikers and skiers are actually walking and passing through. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the thumbs up button.